try a new angle today, something I probably only tell my wife. We're gonna come at this Monday Mindset Mentoring from here. I want to get really up close and personal with you because it's kind of what this is for, right? Social media used to be about being social over a new form of media. And here we are trying to figure out life from a distance. Instead of social media driving us closer, yeah, you have more information at your fingertips, but you're not closer to the people you love, right? And that's what today's going to be about. Number one, I'm going to come at you with a little bit of biblical wisdom. I don't care how the algorithm takes it. This is what I do. Two, the frame that I come from is from someone who has worked in the mental health field for 11 plus years as a Christian, having gone to Christian schools all my life. I'm very blessed and very grateful for that. So if that's not your jam, I still encourage you to listen to the lesson and extract the lesson and meaning if you find something out of this. Number three, I'm a happily married Asian American, and in this political climate as an immigrant, it is very, I'm not the immigrant, my parents are the first gen, I'm the second gen, first born here in America. And there's a lot of things that are going on that are starting to affect how I think. Not just as an American, but as an American who's not seen as an American in the United States. So let's get on with Monday Mindset Mentoring with KandL. So again, I'm Laurence. I am the founder of KandL, and we do mindset training because I think everything that you look at in your life is going to be based on how do you see the world, and how do you see the world is based on your frame of reference. Your frame of reference is your mind. Now, when you think about life and you think about everything you go through right now, everything you're going through, you're not experiencing life based on where you are at today. You are experiencing life based on where you were yesterday, where you were a year ago. If you heard that, that was my back. Where you were yesterday, where you were a month ago, where you were a year ago. It's not based on today. The way you speak to your wife, the way you speak to your coworkers, the way you speak to your family today is based on the fact that you did something yesterday. You thought about something another day. You thought about something 3 weeks ago. Like, for example, me putting this phone on a tripod. When I was in college, I used to flip iPhones. And there was a day I was selling an iPhone 3GS for, I think it was like $200 or $300. And the day I was gonna sell it, the power button stopped working. I lost $100 on that deal because the power button stopped working. But if I'd sold it, and then, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but if I'd sold it and then it broke later in their work, it'd be like, oh crap, okay, maybe I can give you a discount, right? But you have it, it's your responsibility now. This was refurbished. I didn't know anything about power buttons back then. I learned a lot from it. But now, I have a running joke with my wife. I don't know how much she laughs at it. I don't think she appreciates it. When I'm like, you touched the button. 11 iPhones later, 11 years later, 11, 12 years later, I'm still hurt about the fact that I lost money on a sale because a button went out that should have worked. So when I go to turn my phone off, I have a little assistive touch that I hold down to turn my phone off. I never press the power button. Everything I do is avoiding the power button. How many things in your life are your power button? Literally pressing your button, right? Maybe that's a microcosm of my life. What is pressing your button? What is that thing you don't press because you think about the past and not what's happening right now? There are issues in your marriage, in your work, in your health. I won't bench because I learned that bench is not good for you. But what if that's actually the thing you need to do to build your triceps, your chest, whatever it is you want? We don't talk about sex, money, religion, politics because our parents told us not to. Are your parents here right now? Are your parents part of this conversation? Do you see them in the room? So many things in your life are based on the fact that you are still thinking from the frame of reference that you had previously. In the Bible, it says, as a child, I thought like a child. As an adult, I now speak and act like an adult. This isn't literally about growing up. It could have been a week ago, a month ago. When was the last time you had a conversation based on what is happening today and not what was happening previously? For example, my wife and her friend, a friend, she has more than one friend. My wife and a friend of ours aren't speaking. But whenever my wife comes to the conversation, she comes from it from what is going on today. It's not about what happened yesterday. It's not about what happened 2 months ago, what happened a year ago. It's about, hey, I recognize those things, but what is going on today? What are the frames of reference? It's a term that we use to say, like, how do you see the world, your biases, etc. Like, I have a literal glasses, right? This is a literal frame. When I see here, it's the same. If I'm looking at my phone right now, if I'm looking at you guys right now, I see it one way, but when I put on this frame, I see it differently. We're looking at the same thing, but there's a different frame of reference. So think about the things you're going on today. When it's being Monday, you go into work after the weekend, you had a great weekend, you're going to work like, yeah, I'm gonna enjoy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and pray for Friday to come along. Yeah, it's good. Or you had a really bad weekend, you had plans, but they fell through because the rain's coming down, and you were supposed to go boating and it didn't happen. You're gonna be like, I didn't get to do what I wanted to do this week. I don't give a shit about my work this week. I don't care. Screw it. And you act out of that frame. We've been watching a lot of crime shows. So what's the nexus there? What is that point that intersects between the two? Here is how I'm acting. Let me have fun with this. Here's how I'm acting. Here is where I'm coming from. Where do the two come together, right? Where do they interconnect? We're gonna have way too much fun with this. As you can tell, I went to an all-guy. If you couldn't tell yet, I went to an all-guy high school, so I am pretty immature. I enjoy life, and I make a lot of these jokes. But where do the two things come together? The way you're looking at your work, your life, your marriage, your relationship, your finances, how does it affect you today versus what are the things that are actually affecting you from yesterday? Now, if you noticed, I just said what the nexus was. You. You affect your life. You do not affect others' lives. You should not affect others' lives. Like, my disclaimer in everything I do is, if you are not impeding on anyone else's rights, freedoms, ability to live life as they want to live, I'm all for it. Go live your life. And I know people say it's the lazy way to live, but I don't believe in restrictions. I believe in you will learn your restrictions as you need to go. The Bible has these commandments, and your restrictions are different than the commandments, because the commandments are straight up, this is how you have an easier life. Restrictions are saying, like, I can't eat, I won't have coffee because I won't sleep at 10. Well, it makes your life easier, but you're restricting yourself, right? So you have to learn those things for yourself. So it's not up to me to restrict you. It's not up to you to restrict me. Now, politics aside, where do you come in? What are the things you're stopping yourself from doing today, or you're still doing because of the past? We have friends who, like, we use this example a couple times. I have a friend who's on a dating app, and he uses a picture from 10 years ago. If you see this, bro, you stop. Use a real one, because they're going to know you're 40 pounds overweight now. Anyways, I still love you. But there are things you're doing now that are being affected from your past. The way you speak to your wife, the way you speak to your friends, the way you speak to your coworkers, it comes from what you experienced in the past. It doesn't come from today. Most of us have a very hard time and difficulties speaking to someone in the present moment based on only the present moment. That's why I married my wife. She has a very good ability to do that. She's never brought up anything in the past to correct me today. If there's been a time, especially as a man, you need correcting. Having a good partner is a correction. Having good friends is a correction. I have friends who tell me, hey, you say that this is how you want to read the Bible and this is how you want to live your life, but you're not doing that. My wife will say, hey, this is not yesterday, this was not a year ago, we are today. What are we doing today? In your work, yeah, your projects might be a year old, but what are you doing today? Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow has not happened. You don't know how tomorrow will go. You can have the best day today and tomorrow can be great, or tomorrow could be awful. You never know. All you can do is focus on right now. That is eternally happening right now. The problem here is that now is now in the past. It literally takes you time to adjust or digest information and then process it and then put it back out in the world. It might be milliseconds, it might be nanoseconds, it might be the smallest unit of seconds it can be, but there is nothing more than right now. And that's now in the past. 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 Like that. But you can be conscious about how are you having interactions with your time today, with your relationships today, with yourself today, with your reading today, with your work today, with your relationship today, with your spouse today, with your friends today, without focusing so much on what happened yesterday. I can tell my friends, I can tell my wife, like, hey, we had great times before, but what are you doing today? There are days when I wake up, I look in the mirror and I say, eyes on Jesus, what am I doing today? One of my biggest regrets was maybe not going to Texas A&M when I was younger. Whoop. Sorry, wife. She's a Longhorn, so I'm not allowed to say that. But I really wanted to go to A&M. Well, I really wanted to go to Johns Hopkins when I was younger. Wasn't smart enough or nor good at lacrosse to do that. So I wanted to go to Texas A&M. At the last second, I decided not to. I went to a small Christian university in Houston Christian, Houston Baptist University. And I got a lot out of that experience. I made great friends, found myself again, and being in a small school was better for me. But I also look back and think, what would have happened if I had gone to a smaller school? What would have happened if I had done this degree instead of that degree? What if I had gone into business and economics and marketing rather than psychology and biology? Man, I wish I'd done all these different things before. How many times do you do that? How many times do you look back with your current frame of reference, look back and say, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. Without realizing, you wouldn't know what you know now if you had done those things back then. Or like I tell my wife, if I was really good at lacrosse, got into Hopkins, played for Hopkins, Johns Hopkins, and got a business degree, I wouldn't be here with you. I wouldn't be here on YouTube talking to you about this. I probably wouldn't be the same person. And I don't know, maybe life would have been a lot easier. Maybe life would have been a lot harder. More money, more problems. Or maybe I like to think of it this way. I am very embarrassed of my university degree because it's not from a school anyone recognizes. And I had a friend teach me, like, people that go to A&M and UT, it's like they're a dime a dozen. Those are the main universities in the state of Texas. People who go to the University of Florida, either Oregon State University, whatever, you'll find them everywhere. But when you see someone from our school, it's special because not very many people go to that school. I was like, oh, that's a great way to look at it. It's a different way to look at it. If I'd have gone to Hopkins, I'd have the degree back there, Johns Hopkins University. And I sometimes think, maybe it just comforts me, what if I just relied on that? I never grew because that was the best I could do. I got into Hopkins. Or like in NCIS, where Timothy McGee, one of the characters, has 2 post-bac degrees, I think. One from Johns Hopkins University and one from MIT. He never says it, but I think about it, like, what if I had those degrees, I probably would have relied on it. I'd be that dude who's like walking into like 20-year reunions like, yeah, I went to Hopkins. I went to MIT. Okay, but what are you doing today? That could have been me. That might be you right now. Those are great schools. If you went to them and you were smart enough and skilled enough to go through those schools, good for you. But what are you doing today? Your past only affects you as much as you allow it to affect you. That's why people who struggle with poverty have found ways to go to school, build businesses, do things that are greater than and go beyond them. There are also people who do so much. They go to great schools, they have a lot of money, they come from family with money, but they do nothing today because they never took a skill or they relied on that past skill. So what are you going to do today? How are you going to live for today? Now I don't just mean live for today as in like YOLO! I just showed my age, didn't I? But rather, what are you going to do with this moment because this is all you have? Are you going to rely on the past to keep carrying you through? Are you going to rest on your laurels, as it says? Or are you going to look forward to the future and say, this is how I get there? This is Laurence with KandL. Peace, love, and light. If you found something useful in this, let me know. You'll have our socials in the description. Message, follow, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. I'm not going to tell you like and subscribe this video because it helps the algorithm. But if you got something out of it and you want to help promote this message, share it with somebody who might need to hear it. Like it so it gets promoted on YouTube. my job here isn't to become YouTube famous. I'm not trying to be Mr. Beast. My job here is to find that one person who needs this message today. And if it gets to them, that's all that matters to me. Peace, love, and light. Laurence with KandL, signing off.